is a wrap on Ubisoft. I don't even know where to start with this. Hit us up on Twitter at IGN with the hashtag E32018 to let us know what you all thought of the big game reveals. Now, let's get into it. Max, Jams, Tina, what did you guys think of that incredible reveal at the very beginning? Obviously, I'm talking about the dance number. No, I'm kidding. We're going to talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2. That's one of the best trailers I think I've ever seen.
It's so good! Oh my god!
I know, like, I saw some people on Twitter, like, not really getting it, but I was like, I want this as a feature film. I thought it was really good.
It looks like Cowboy Bebop meets a Gorillaz video.
Yeah.
It looks so Cowboy Bebop, and I'm so into that. And it's just, it's weird, it's colorful, it's completely all over the place. Obviously CG trailer, but then we got some of the game in action. This looks like an incredible game.
Yeah, and I really like the Space Monkey program that they're doing to let everyone kind of have a part in it. So we can get into that a little bit, and the what's it called? Hit record. That's it. Very similar. So they're actually letting the community have an impact on the game. But the trailer, to me, we saw a lot of different settings. That opening, I don't really know what it is that they're gliding through. Is it a cloud? Is it?
I think it's like an icy planet.
Yeah, which looks cool. But if we've learned anything from the Titanic, maybe they should reconsider. I don't know.
Go up there.
Avoid the ice.
Yes, but of course, at the very end, we saw Jade, which is very confusing in terms of timeline, because everything that we had heard about this before indicated that it was a prequel, and the pig who is seen in all of their trailers, we assumed was related to Paige, the pig in the first game, who I guess it's now confirmed that it is actually the real Paige. Is this not a prequel anymore? How are you guys feeling about the time it's set in?
I get the sense that they're this might as well be a reboot, you know, like considering how long it's been and how much of a big sort of departure this is. But at the same time, they obviously do have hardcore fans, and they're trying to throw something their way. I mean, I don't really have a ton of experience with the first game. I kind of dabbled in it, but I didn't. You know, I don't have any real attachment to it. But clearly, a lot of people.
It was a lot of a cult classic, and I guess for anyone who hasn't played the first Beyond Good and Evil, it played a lot like Zelda. Really, but Jade has this photography mode. But I think everything that I love about it, you get from this trailer. Those quirky characters, all in very different worlds, all talking to each other, and it's such a goofy, fun group of people, and it was in the first game as well. And it's still got that personality here, clearly, but there's a more ominous undertone, especially with the reveal of Jade at the end. It looks like she's, I don't know, a lot darker than she was in the first game.
Maybe the villain entirely?
Yeah.
No, I think that's really the thing. You hit the nail on the head. The amount of levity here, and the fact that it does seem like playful and silly while still having, you know, cool, harder sci-fi elements to it is really refreshing, because we get so many gritty visions of the future or of space or of other realms.
It seems like a future that we actually want to exist in, just based on this trailer. And I already love them all so much, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Is there some time travel element, or are they just completely foregoing the prequel thing? Like, I really don't know what happened here.
Full prequel.
They did,
yeah.
But is that no longer a thing? Like, I'm wondering, because if it is Paige, I guess they didn't confirm recognizing Jade. I don't know how anyone else would recognize Jade unless she's become super famous somehow. It doesn't make sense. I definitely have a lot of questions.
Well, since it's set in space, could it possibly be something where you like travel to a parallel universe and there's like a bizarro Jade? Yeah.
Maybe. It could be like a different version of Jade. I'm really unsure, but man, this looks so cool. I hope that we do see the way, obviously this is like fully CG, but the way that the ship, the actual flying controls look there,
yes,
it looks really
that's
cool.
exactly what I took away from this, based upon the brief pre-alpha gameplay demo we saw last year of a character jumping off that larger ship onto that smaller ship and flying this smaller ship around. I wonder if this main ship is going to be a hub that kind of travels between planets that you're going to come back to and interact with.
So I know the way the main ship works, that's where it's your home base, and you can put smaller ships on that you can then take out, and then you can take even smaller ships off of your smaller ship to explore worlds. So you'll have ships inside ships inside ships, and I think that's very cool. I imagine this is the hub ship that we're seeing here. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
That was fantastic.
It
seems like Thanos, right? It seems so intimidating, and Jade being on that, and it looks so ominous, is, I don't know. I'm sure everyone's going to have a lot of questions for Ubisoft leading into this. But yeah, I did want to talk a little bit about their community focus. They've been advertising the Space Monkey program for a long time, so people can play it in alpha test and make sure it's not broken on launch, assuming they're really leaning into those multiplayer components. But it also seems like with Hit Record, artists can actually contribute their music and artistic creations. Max, you're an artist. How do you feel about that?
I'm really conflicted on this. Joseph Gordon-Levitt came out and talked about this. Hit Record's been around for a while. I think he's had it since 2010, and he gave a presentation about it. And I think it's a really cool idea. It's very utopian and kind of optimistic and inclusive, but at the same time, I worry about how people are being paid fairly.
They do
get paid. That's
yeah.
the thing. He jumped on Twitter and he was like, "Hey, we didn't get a chance to mention this. It might have gotten cut from the script last minute, but apparently they've given out like $3 million to artists over the course of the last 8 years." But again, that's $3 million spread across 8 years and however many people. So how does that actually break down? I mean, this could go either way. I don't really know what they're going to actually be doing with this. It's a cool idea. We see fans designing levels, making mods. There's tons of that stuff already in games. But when it comes down to like, hey, we need you to design, I don't know, an asset, or we need you to make music. It'd be really cool if it was something where people, I don't know, musicians upload their music and it becomes in-game music, and maybe you become like, that's how they have their version of like a GTA radio station. Is it's community-made music, and it's credited.
Definitely a lot of questions about it, and obviously we'll find out some more in the coming months, the coming year. But I did also want to talk about Starlink. I did not expect to want to talk about Starlink. It's a Toys to Life game. It seems like Toys to Life kind of died. Even Toys for Bob moved off as Skylanders. We don't have Disney Infinity anymore. But Starfox.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane.
Literally in the process of saying, I don't think we should talk about Starlink, and then Fox showed up, and we're like, never mind,
absolutely.
we're talking about. This is huge. I feel like this should almost be
So we've got Jonathan Dornbush orbiting the big story coming out of Ubisoft from our reactions here. Jonathan.
Yes.
What did you think of Starfox being in Starlink?
That was a pretty big surprise. For me, there was some expectation that there would continue to be a Nintendo-Ubisoft collaboration because Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle was so big for them. So I'm not surprised to continue seeing that relationship grow. But Fox, there was Star Fox Zero a couple of years ago, but other than that, we haven't seen him too much. So that was a really big surprise. I was really excited to see that, and made me much more interested in Starlink than I was before.
Yeah, would you ever have expected this to happen?
No, I mean, it makes sense, especially knowing the relationship behind the scenes, and obviously this space-based game. It almost seems perfect for Star Fox, and now not having thought about that before, I feel kind of stupid. But it makes a lot of sense, especially because there have been rumors surfacing that Star Fox is going to make a return. There are a lot of rumors going around that Retro Studios, the makers of Metroid Prime, are going to be making a Star Fox racing game. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but this sort of maybe lends credence that Star Fox isn't gone.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What do you think this means for there being a new Star Fox game potentially being revealed this year? Do you think it's still going to happen?
Whether it's the rumored game that we've been hearing about Grand Prix or something else, I have a feeling there will probably be some Star Fox presence tomorrow that isn't just Battle for Atlas at the Nintendo Direct. To bring him out at this Ubisoft event and then make no mention of Star Fox at the Nintendo conference would probably be a little silly. I'm hoping he's also still a character in the new Smash Brothers, but beyond that, I would not be shocked at all to see a new Star Fox game being announced some point tomorrow.
All right, you've given us some lovely business answers here, but I just wanted to ask, how excited are you for this?
I actually am pretty excited. I was a very big Toys to Life person. I collected like all the LEGO Dimensions figures. I collected a lot of Skylanders figures. So I'm excited by this just because of the idea that you can sort of create your own ship by just customizing pieces on it. I think that's a pretty cool, novel idea, and they just appear right in the game. I don't know how popular it will be because obviously you'll have to buy individual pieces and ships, but having something like Star Fox opens the opportunity to have other licensed ships, which is a pretty cool thing for me.
So one really important question I need to ask you, Jonathan. How excited are you about Just Dance 2019?
It's coming to the Wii. It is still coming to the Wii in 2018 and Xbox 360 with Kinect. That's pretty insane.
I like how you actually have an answer. I was just throwing you a question.
Oh, no.
It's crazy.
No,
it's on the Wii.
Yep, it's coming to the Wii. It's still around.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Jonathan. I did want to find out what the rest of the panel thinks about this more fully. Like you were saying before, Max, I was like, I don't think we're going to talk about this on the post-show. Then the Star Fox reveal happened, and I was like, oh, we're definitely going to talk about this on the post-show. How are you all feeling about it?
How do you make a Toys to Life game work in 2018? I'm wondering if there's something we haven't heard yet. Like, what if this is not quite free to play, but if the game component is just included with the toys almost?
Yeah.
So maybe the microtransactions, you're just buying the toy, and then the game comes along with it?
Well, we don't know the specifics, but we do know that at the very least, you don't necessarily need the toys. Like, if that's not really your thing, then you don't have to incorporate that into your experience. You can just get everything digitally.
Well, my biggest problem with the Toys to Life model, and I've reviewed a lot of the Skylanders games for IGN, and I visited the studio at Disney Infinity, is generally that they lock content behind characters, and sometimes they even lock them behind unpopular characters. So they'll make you buy ships and things that you don't want to unlock some of the coolest content. And I don't know, it's really problematic. I don't think people will go for it in 2018. They have to both be really cool ships and be promising something very cool for that to work. And I don't know, I think it's kind of a bold move, but We will see how it goes for them. We've got to take a break right now, but IGN Live at E3 is still going strong. Coming up next, we've got an exclusive look at The Division 2 and tonight, the PlayStation Showcase. So make sure you stick around.
IGN Live at E3 2018 is presented by Sicario Day of the Soldado. Only on the big screen June 29th.
I know who you are. The attorney whose family they killed.
Not they.
My father. Now you hunt them.
Adios.
And this girl was witness to the mission.
You gotta get rid of her. I can't do that. Some bad people hunting for you now. You have no reason to trust me. But trusting me is how you're gonna survive.
Sicario, Day of the Soldado, rated R. Random events. Accidents. Countless possibilities, converging at a single point in time. Yet, there is only one truth. Cause. Effect. We live in a world of assassins. And the best of them all is Agent 47.
Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2018, the best time of year to be a gamer. We just wrapped up the Ubisoft showcase, and there's still a lot to process. Joining me once again are Max, Joe, and Tina. All right, you guys, Skull and Bones. We saw more of this than we expected to see, and I'm kind of thinking there might be a single-player campaign.
That's what it looked like for sure.
Right? We don't
Perhaps.
Have, we don't really have
I
confirmation.
think you'll be able to phase in to multiplayer experiences in a really interesting way. When they fought that legendary ship, it was really interesting to see 4 people get together and then in true pirate fashion destroy each other. That said to me that hopefully what I want out of this game is this massive open world, this ability to go anywhere and do anything and really emergently interact with all the other players and all the other little bits at work here, as well as customize your ship. But are we going to get that? I'm doubtful. I think this is going to be a highly phased experience, somewhat of a potentially like linear redo these missions experience and less of like an EVE Online scenario.
Yeah, and one thing that I do think is interesting is we did see, from what I can tell, people walking around off of the ship. That it looked like that happened at the very start, which I wasn't expecting to see, which didn't look too dissimilar to Sea of Thieves. This actually looked more like Sea of Thieves than I expected it to.
I'm wondering if that operates as sort of a hub world where you just, that's where you accept missions and where the social component of it. Clearly there's, I mean, this is a shared world experience. So is that the sort of, is that like the, the place where the Guardians hang out in Destiny? The tower, there you go. Is that the equivalent of that? It also gave me kind of Monster Hunter World vibes, where upgrading your gear and turning in assignments and all that. I feel like we still don't have a clear grasp of this game because every time they announce it, they keep adding more stuff to it.
Yes,
it's more bells.
Slightly
and whistles.
confusing for
Every
sure.
look is focused on something different, so we did get this bit better look at this hub city thing, which makes sense if you're going to have an upgradable ship. You need somewhere to go to have that social experience and be able to put more of what you earn into your ship and your characters.
So we can see these sailors dropping the Portuguese merchant, kind of going stealth, as it were, and then they're able to see these enemy ships and discern a level. And so we can, from the UI elements, we can kind of infer things about skills, about ship archetypes, about playing a class and having these abilities that are going to be on cooldowns, and then going up against things that are potentially going to be higher or lower level than you, both players and potentially NPCs.
So I obviously asked this question at the start. We've learned a lot more about gameplay here, I think, even from the UI glimpses, of course, but it does seem like there are characters here. That trailer that we saw at the beginning was characters talking to each other that seemed established. How do you guys think that's going to exist in the world? Do you think they'll be NPCs? Do we think it's a single player
They will be
campaign?
quest givers, and that will be it. I would not expect too much narratively out of this game. I could be totally wrong. That's just my intuition here.
It's never always the case that you see these like really fully fleshed out characters on a trailer and they necessarily become something in the game that you interact with on a really deep level. So yeah, it could really go either way. And I would assume an NPC too.
Now, am I crazy, or did one of the trailers we got either, like, I guess last year, did that have a tease of a Kraken in it? Was there a sea monster sequence in that, or am I completely...
I mean, that did happen in Sea of Thieves.
Okay.
In this, I don't recall, but I'd be for it.
Could have sworn that would be interesting though, because in addition to the sort of the PvP stuff or the sort of the going after NPC ships or whatever it is, it'd be kind of cool if there were go take down a huge sea monster together. That would be. And clearly, they're not going for like straight realism here. There's a lot of liberties taken with this kind of the ship aesthetics.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think that probably this is the closest thing to a Kraken, and this is like a giant galleon that is going to take 4 of these pirates temporarily allying with one another to take down. And what's really exciting about this is there's a bunch of gameplay that can come from this. It could be a sniper fight where you have to engage from long range because the galleon is so powerful up close that you don't want to get into broadside range. Or it could potentially be a boarding party thing. Maybe you could have a ship archetype that is really strong when it comes to boarding enemy ships. So I think they have a lot of creative freedom to play with here, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
For sure. So I wanted to check in with the IGN community now to find out what's trending at E3 2018 after the Ubisoft press conference. It looks like Beyond Good and Evil 2 is sitting at number 1. People have waited years for this, so that's no big surprise. Following that is Starlink, Battle for Atlas, and then For Honor. Hashtagonist had this to say about Beyond Good and Evil 2. A CGI trailer that 100% sells me on a game I didn't even play the previous game off is a good achievement. I totally agree. I think it looked really, really cool. And Leslie had this to say about Starlink, Battle for Atlas. I didn't want Starlink, but now with Starfox and Miyamoto's blessing, I might be in for little shipbuilders. And I totally agree with that too. We obviously all got sold on that. So make sure you continue to tweet at IGN using the hashtag E3 2018 and you might find yourself on our show. So now I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That was the end there. What did you guys think?
It's looking good. I mean, like I said before the show, too, I feel like there are so many reasons to not want to play Assassin's Creed, but with the kind of engagement that you have with characters, the more of the kind of experience that you can make your own with the dialogue options seems really interesting and seems more like if BioWare made an Assassin's Creed game, and I'm totally down for that.
A lot of people are kind of disappointed with what BioWare is doing right now. They feel like they're not getting what BioWare is known for out of Anthem, and I'm kind of feeling like that RPG hole that we've gotten can maybe be filled with this, which I never would have expected. Seeing dialogue options and the ability to choose your character, even if they are kind of more set in stone, builds off of, even in the previous game, Bayek, you could fully customize everything he was wearing and that full level system. I think this is an interesting step for them, and I wonder if they're going to kind of become more of an RPG powerhouse.
I totally agree, and I think one thing that is allowing me to become invested in this from a narrative standpoint is the lack of the animus and the lack of the UI. Now, the animus may be in this game.
It probably will be.
But
they never show that off ahead of time.
I wish they would just make these historical fantasy games. I also love that we got to see a Minotaur there at the end, and these fantasy elements. This character is lighting Leonidas' staff on fire, and all this cool, somewhat higher fantasy stuff that is not what you would expect from Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I think the fantasy stuff has me doubly interested. There were questions we had on the pre-show being like, what are they going to do differently? And that's one of them is, why not get weird? Especially if they're getting rid of the animus. Maybe they are because of the dialogue options. I don't know.
I'm very skeptical about whether or not that's actually like a fantasy element. We did get a shot of Bayek fighting a giant snake in the AC Origins reveal, which wound up being like a Vision Quest dream sequence kind of psychedelic moment.
Cool, but you're right.
Just put a big snake in there.
I guess it's not real. There's a part in Assassin's Creed 3 where you fly as and avoid trees and stuff. So I guess that kind of stuff has existed before, but there was also in Origins, you could have legendary weapons that had certain abilities. Like there was one that would, I don't know, I think it did extra poison damage and there would be a downside to you. Like stuff like that isn't unheard of, but I think you're totally right, Max. I'd like to see them own it kind of go hard on it. I think that would be really cool, but I mean, it looks gorgeous too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All these games always look gorgeous, but it looks really, really pretty. I just always hope that the walking speed is the same as the NPC that's walking next to me.
And then we got...
Looks like it is.
We got a little bit of a look at kind of that larger fight sequence that I would love to say that I totally called, but it wasn't really a phalanx. It was kind of just a large brawl.
No, you missed the phalanx. You were in the bathroom or something.
Oh, yeah.
There was.
They showed
Yeah,
us
yeah,
phalanx.
I was right.
Yeah.
Look at that. But in any case, I think you can't do Ancient Greece without these big, bombastic battle sequences, and we got to see... so this was really interesting. This was like a Shadow of War Nemesis system. We just saw the Bringer of Rain. The character decides to book it on a horse, but then runs into another named NPC. Am I just forgetting this from Origins, or is this totally new?
There were elements of that in Origins, but that is almost entirely totally new, yeah. But I think one of the most interesting things that is completely new is that little wheel that was at the bottom, where it seemed like you could actually attach certain abilities to your face buttons, which almost to me seems like special abilities. I wonder if there's going to be some kind of stamina tied into them.
Sure. So it said new mercenary discovered there, and this is this invincible enemy that the protagonist proves very poorly named, but...
Yeah, I think as an Assassin's Creed fan, I love that. That sword lighting up is really cool. As an Assassin's Creed fan, I'm happy to see these guys return as well. I don't remember what they're called, but it's basically the idea that there's certain bosses out in the universe, which are very, very high level, that sometimes you will really have to grind to get to their level to be able to actually engage with them. They'll just destroy you if they catch you early. I think they were called Phylax, actually, and they would chase you down, like really chase you down. They had some really cool siege stuff in Origins that I would like to see return again. And just that was a really cool combat finisher that we saw there. Obviously, level system is back. It seems like, you know, it's not a dramatic shift from Origins, but it does seem like they're doing a good job of representing that ancient Greek era.
Yeah. It feels like the natural progression from Origins, essentially.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else?
I think it's a wonderful how much they're tweaking and adding new things, and I'm happy that they're not afraid to get a little experimental.
Yeah, these systems are called abilities in there, which I don't know.
Although what we've seen has been like really hand-to-hand combat, at least for this one character that we're playing as or that they're playing as in the demo.
Yeah, but it did seem like you could unlock that sort of Spartan kick ability too. That was an unlockable, and I love that kind of stuff. We didn't see a ton of stealth gameplay.
Yeah.
Some of that, maybe there was some in there.
It's an action RPG now.
Yeah.
I love that they did show off a bit of ranged attack, which of course they're taking liberties with. Is the same sort of upgraded bow mechanic where you have the different bow types. Shooting a bear, so hunting is still there, obviously.
I didn't even pay attention to that. That means there probably is a crafting system still in place as well.
Yeah.
It does look really cool. I think the characters I'm a lot less interested in, but I'm glad we saw Socrates. So we have, some Greek historical figures that everyone's pretty excited to see, but didn't get a lot from the main characters. You guys hear what their names were? Did you catch that? I don't know if they have the same name.
It's all Greek to me.
Just a miscellaneous Greek name. I imagine that it's probably a gender-neutral name, since obviously you can choose between either one of them. And I don't know, I loved Bayek. I got pretty attached to him, so hopefully these characters are just as compelling. And I think that's a really important part of the Assassin's Creed universe. I still love Ezio. I still have just like a really, really soft spot for him. So yeah, it looks really pretty. Definitely excited to learn more as an Assassin's Creed fan, and I'm sure you guys are as well. So everyone who's watching at home, make sure you don't go anywhere. When we come back, we've got an exclusive look behind the scenes of The Division 2.